Hello and welcome everyone. This is Binam from Banks and Markets, and in this video today I would like to talk about yield curve, particularly the shape of the yield curve, if that can help people predict an upcoming recession. This is interesting because back in 2019 people were saying that another recession is imminent, and they were saying this based on the inverted shape of the yield curve, particularly the 10-year maturity bond was giving an yield less than that given by 2-year maturity bond. But if you see the news now, this is interesting. No recession, but the yield, which has remained historically low in recent months, has now begun to pick up. So what I want to talk is, what is the shape of the yield curve now? When I say now, I'm talking about early March, and what does it tell to us about the economy? So that's on the agenda. At the same time, I would also be speaking about different shapes of the yield curve. For example, normal, flat, inverted, and humped. And in order to discuss all these, of course, we need the data. And if you want to download the data, this is the place where you can go. Just type in US Department of the Treasury yield rate in Google and you will get to this page. And what I did after that, I just highlighted them all, copied, and then pasted it in an Excel file. Exactly this is what you will obtain. So what we can do now, we can talk about the different shape of the yield curve, starting with the normal or positively sloped yield curve, which is here in the diagram. This one on the top left, positively sloped normal. It's called normal because with the maturity the yield increases, and that's what people would expect in a normal situation, that when you have bonds with higher time to maturity, you should get a higher yield. So just some examples here, that's what I want to show you. And I'm going to make use of the yield rate that was there just before the largest one of the significant dip that we observed in stock indices. That was in March 2020. So that's what we saw in the March 2020, some significant dip in the stock indices. So if we see the yield just before that, so I'm taking the 13th of March, and my understanding is then the yield was normal. So let's see. Yeah, this is the case. With the maturity, the yield is upward rising. So this is the case of a normal yield. So that's one example. And in the case of second example, I want to talk about let's say inverted, i.e. negatively sloped. So negatively sloped, basically we should be able to find when the market experienced soon after that the economic recession. Okay, so let's see here. I've got 2000, December 2000, and you may know that there was a recession caused by the internet bubble, and the March 10, 2000 recorded the highest, and soon after that the market crashed. So 2000 high, 2001 crashed, and we also observed a recession of around 8 months in 2001. So let's see what is the shape of the yield curve before the economic recession of 2001. So we can see here that the shape is an inverted one. So this is giving an indication already about the fact that the economy will face some kind of recession. That's what we can see. So let's see another example which we all are very familiar, because it is related to the last financial crisis. So the financial crisis took place in 2007-8, and this yield curve, I am going to make one with the help of the data related to period toward the end of 2006. So let me draw the curve now, and you can see again this is inverted. And this was the case for the majority of the period toward the end of 2006, and also to some extent at the beginning of 2007. So if we just see two different bonds, one with a shorter time to maturity, that 1 to 3 months, I think this is let me see, 6 months. Yeah, that's 6 months. Let me go back to 2006 again. So that's 6 months maturity. Let me go toward the end, similar to before. So that's 11, which is November. So I can take this and one which has longer time to maturity, and let me see the graph here. We can already see from the data that the longer time to maturity bond is here in column K, the shorter is here in column E, but the yield for the shorter are all above 5%. The yield for all in column K, which is a bond with higher time to maturity, are all below 5. So that inversion is already implied here as well. So that's something we have been able to see, hence the reason why we can say that this gives us a good prediction about the upcoming recession. Another shape of the yield curve I want to present is related to the humped yield curve, and that's something we can see here at on July 2000, and that's something, the data I'm using to make the humped yield curve. So that's something you can see here. The humpedness is visible. And what I also discovered was an inverse humped, and that's something not very evident in the literature, but I found it, so I wanted to show it to you, that the yield curve can also take an inverted hump shape. So that's something inverted hump. Of course, here is the inversion, but then it rises back. Just because I found it, I thought I should share this one as well. But then what we haven't seen is the tool to see the predictive power. So what we will therefore do is similar to the other people, will also make use of the yield difference between a longer maturity bond and a shorter maturity bond. So 10 years versus 2-year bond, and again I will also make use of 10 years and 1-year maturity bond. So I just need to find out the difference to do that, and again here 10-year take away 1-year maturity bond. So I'm going to scroll it down, but you can see here that this is where the chart will be displayed for this data. So I'm now highlighting, double clicking. So I've got all the spread, yield spread here recorded for 10-year maturity versus 2-year maturity bond and 10-year versus 1-year maturity bond. And this is the chart. Okay, so we can see the chart. Now let's start from here, because that's the point where our data starts from 1990, early 1990, January 2nd, 1990. We see that this is negative, this is below zero, and it's also true that later we observed an economic recession lasting about 8 months. So this gave us some prediction. If we see what happened in 2000, there was this inversion again. The return differential is negative here between the 10-year versus 2-year maturity bonds, and again between 10 years and 1-year maturity bond given by the orange. And soon after that, we saw economic crisis, economic recession. And then this is very evident. We all know that soon after 2006, there was the last financial crisis of 2007 and 8, which we all are aware because we all took the pain, which basically means this yield differential, the yield spread, also gave us some prediction. But what happened in 2019 didn't give us any economic recession. And similarly, the other recession or crisis that we saw in the market, such as those related to 1987, didn't cause any economic recession. So although we have been able to note some level of economic recession soon after the inversion, it is not the case all the time. We therefore need to see that the inversion is there for a long time period, i.e. a prolonged inversion, and also it is consistent. Then only we can cautiously make some conclusion related to possible economic recession. But if we see the yield curve as of now, then we know that this is historically low, but there is some sign in terms of recovery that we saw through the news, such as this. But what does this mean then? The market participants now are becoming more and more optimistic. This optimism is there also because people have noted that the vaccine is being rolled out. Vaccine is taking place at a very fast rate, and there is stimulus after stimulus. So what people are doing is people are thinking of the upside brought by these stimulus and relief packages more than the downside caused by the pandemic. So these are some of the reasons we can outline in terms of the shape of the economy going forward in a positive direction, and that's what we should be able to observe in the days to come. So thank you very much for your time, and thank you very much for listening. Thank you.